Imagine a town in Spain where over 37% of the residents are foreign-born, and more than 80% of the babies born in recent years have at least one foreign parent, many from Africa. Welcome to Salt, right next to Girona in Catalonia. In Salt, with around 34,000 people, foreigners make up 37 to 42% of the population. Top origins include thousands of Moroccans, Gambians, Malians, Senegalese, all across the Girona province. Africans are forming a major share of immigrants here, with Moroccans alone numbering over 42,000 in the region. This shift has transformed the area. Salt reportedly has more mosques than it does Catholic churches, and local birth data shows heavy African origin representation. Crime rates have drawn attention alongside rapid cultural changes. Today, we're walking these streets and diving into the stats behind this demographic takeover. Is this the future of Europe? Stick around, the numbers are eye-opening. Welcome everybody to a small city in Catalonia. Welcome to Girona, a place in Spain, in some cases, in some areas of this city, more than 80% foreign-born. In fact, in some areas, the school registration is up to just under 100% of the school registrations being foreign-born as well. Today, we're showing you a side of Spain that we haven't shown yet, a side of Europe that we haven't really explored yet. The effects of mass migration, failed EU policies once again on a small community of only around 100,000 in Girona, and with the area of Salt, a suburb included, only around 150,000 in total. Welcome to Girona, let's go and explore. This here is the main station of Girona, by the way. Right in front of it, where all of the tourists arrive, there's a public park that we just walked through. There's a playground in that public park. Nothing but military-aged men from Morocco and North Africa loitering around, using drugs, drinking alcohol. Welcome to the daily reality of small-town Spain in 2026. There's a few areas around here, one of them incredibly problematic. Font de la Poblora, widely considered an absolute no-go zone, known as the Gitano Barrio, or the Barrio of the Romas, the Gypsies. There's another area just over this way, it's known as Salt, where you will find 80+% Maghrebi, Moroccan, and foreign-born, non-native Spanish. So this is a town of around 100,000 people that is very rapidly being consumed, very rapidly being taken over by that exact population. It's incredibly sad to see it. There's two guys walking by me right now who are looking at me very aggressively and don't want me filming, but they're still going to walk straight into the camera because these are very low IQ individuals, and a lot of drug trafficking happening all throughout here as well, particularly in Salt as well. And a lot of these situations have been going on now for quite some time.
Also, none of these people are sticking to any rules or any laws. You could see it immediately. Everybody crossed on red. Everybody's littering. They're dropping their garbage on the floor in the areas as well, which just contributes to a very, unfortunately, unlivable environment for young families.
Don't know if you saw that as well, but the guy that walked behind the two that walked past was also Maghrebi, Moroccan, and he was letting those guys know that we were talking about them, or that they walked through the camera. It's all one big community here, and the native Spanish people are not being included in it. They're creating these parallel societies that run completely opposite as to what the native Spanish community is offering and what people are fleeing. A lot of the big cities like Barcelona, like Madrid, other cities in Catalonia, they're leaving those cities because of the problems that are happening in places like Barcelona, coming to the smaller cities such as here and facing, in often cases, much worse problems. Una pregunta.
Dime.
¿Está bien la Salt para las turistas? ¿Es okay?
El área de Salt. A ver, ¿qué me dices? ¿Está bien qué?
está bien
L'area di Salt
l'area di Salt?
peligrosa?
No,
Peligroso no.
no, peligroso no, pero
Ok.
es la parte que hay más moros, negros,
Sí.
Sí,
pero
sí, sí.
no pasa nada, ¿eh?
No pasa nada.
Ok. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias.
Podéis ir también, no, vigilando un poco, ¿no?
Ok.
Vigilando un poco, pero no. Tampoco hay nada para ver.
Vale.
Sí,
No
vale.
hay
Ok.
Sí, sí.
Nada.
No
Ok.
hay nada para ver.
There's nothing to see there.
Ok.
Okay.
No hay nada, solo casas, no hay nada.
Solo las casas, sí.
Solo casas.
Fruta,
Fruta,
fruta para
mercado,
vender,
mercado.
mercado de frutas y cosas,
Ok.
pero no es un pueblo bonito.
No para
no.
los turísticos, ¿no?
Ok.
No,
Ok.
para turísticos.
Ok,
Ok.
muchísimas
Muchas gracias.
De nada.
Buen día.
Adiós, buen día.
One incredibly sad thing is that people from the likes of Barcelona are moving to the small cities like Girona in order to avoid the over-tourism, to avoid the amount of migrants that are coming in, all of the crimes that are happening. So they're trying to go somewhere else, white flight, so to speak, in order to have a better life, better quality of life, better, cheaper apartments, and so on. And they come to the likes of Girona and surrounding areas just to encounter the absolute exact same thing again, minus the tourists, of course. And now the policies of President Sanchez are just adding to the entire situation here. When the naturalization program was announced last year, we have seen long queues in Salt itself, and WhatsApp channels were actually created with some people that are working for the cities, where more than 1,000 people joined the channel, which is making it very, very obvious the amount of illegals that are walking around in the city of Girona and surrounding areas. We are filming in a smaller place because obviously a lot of people are saying, yeah, but all of the problems that we are seeing, they're really only happening in the big cities or in the capital cities or around main stations. So now we are actually going to show you what the future of small town Europe looks like when white flight will not be possible anymore.
Now we're currently walking through the old city, the main tourism quarter of Girona, and I have to say, absolutely stunning, very beautiful. Similarly stunning, I have to say, than places like Barcelona in the tourist center, or Madrid in the tourist center, or any other major European city that attracts tourists into the actual core of the city centers, due to a lot of times because of the history and the retail, and of course you have a lot of expat communities that are moving here. Now with that, with the expats and the tourists, causes a lot of issues. So one of the biggest recurring issues that you see here in the actual center of Girona and all over the province is housing crisis. And again, this is the same recurring theme all over Europe. There's not enough housing for the locals, particularly for the young native locals. And this has turned into a massive, massive problem. And the source of that problem in this particular area is that it's been turned into basically a theme park, and a lot of locals have said this. It's literally been turned into a theme park for the tourists. So you will have big tour groups passing through. All of the apartments as well have been turned into Airbnbs, hotels, expensive at that. I've had a look online at some of the prices. We're not staying in the center for that very reason. Not only that, but you also have expats that are coming here and renting long term. A lot of Americans, a lot of other Europeans from Northern Europe and other areas in Western Europe that might have a bit more money to spend than the local Spanish people do. So with that brings high returns, high profit margins for a lot of the landlords in these cities. So how can they refuse charging Americans maybe twice as much as they would charge a native Spanish person? And you have pressure from both ends then because you have the migrant squatting that happens, where people are squatting for free in other parts of the city, taking up property. And then you also have here in the center and other nice areas, you have high-paying taxpayers that are also not Spanish. So no matter what end you look at it on the spectrum, no matter what way you look at it, Spanish people are losing out. It is beautiful though. You can see the history in the walls here of the city of Girona, being the old part of the city, of course. Thousands of years of history. And this is one of the things that makes it so sad about the modern day reality. It does feel like a theme park, and nearly everybody that we walk by is in a tour group having things explained to them. I'm not seeing many locals just going around enjoying their time in the cafes or whatever. The vast majority of the actual accents and language that I'm hearing is English, and then a sprinkle of French and other European language, a lot of Chinese as well. Look at this. How absolutely beautiful. And oh my, the history here is stunning.
The very sad thing is, if these types of areas are turning into some sort of theme parks, obviously you can keep the houses alive, but you cannot keep the culture alive. And the people that created that culture are very much what brings life to the city. If this city empties out and is going to be filled with people from other countries, regardless of Western, Northern Europe, America, or the continent of Africa, this city is going to lose its charm and also its tradition, for which it is very popular and very famous for.
Girona, in fact, has a history spanning of over 2,000 years. It kind of acted as a very important transportation point between the Iberian Peninsula and back then what was known as Gaul, or nowadays France. It's on the confluence rivers. So a lot of stuff would have moved through these rivers way back when. A heavy trading point. Just another incredible birthplace of Spanish culture, tradition and religion. Beautiful Girona Cathedral.
What a stunning and very much medieval place. Standing here you can really imagine the fights that must have happened in and around Girona, and also in the distance you can see all of the mountains there in the back, which I'm sure if you would stand here and foreign troops would come in, you would have a very, very good look in order to defend yourself. From here you can see pretty much everybody coming over the mountains over there. It's very disheartening to see when you realize how nice the areas are that the tourists are roaming in around, but obviously a lot of the locals are very much excluded from these areas, especially if you are of a working class descent. You're obviously not gonna live in the main center of the old quarter here in Girona. You're more likely to actually live in the areas that we are about to show you right now.
Hola. Santa Eugenia? This way? This way. Okay, perfect. Crime here in this small city in Spain, believe it or not, perception-wise is up. around 70%. Staggering increase over just the last few years. It's actually very scary for the residents. And the reason I'm saying it's scary for the residents is non-native Spanish people, including Maghrebis and North Africans, are statistically 5 to 15 times more likely, for example, to commit violent theft here in Girona. That is statistics. Statistics aren't racist, I swear. We're literally just reading data and showing it to you. And this is exactly what is in these small cities. We're not even in the larger places anymore. These are small communities made up of majoritively aging population of Spanish. Hola, Gracias.
This is something that is so sad to see. When we've seen it all over Europe, where these containers where you can donate your clothes, people are literally opening them and taking out all of the clothes. And the things actually never make it to the people that are in desperate need of these types of things. So if you are a person that likes to donate your clothes, just go to the places directly. Don't throw them into one of these containers, because either they get robbed like that way, or searched through at least, or they are going to get set on fire, which we have seen a lot of times as well in Europe, all over Europe. If you leave the central tourist part, or the tourist occupied part of Girona, very, very quickly you can see lots and lots of places that are entirely empty, where the shops are no longer there. I don't know how long, obviously it has been empty around here, but it just seems like the general economy, obviously, of Europe is suffering anyway, but Girona doesn't seem to be excluded in that.
Smells bloody awful. Completely taken over, guys. Disgusting streets here, guys. Phone shops, vape shops, everywhere, guys. This is the new normal of Europe. I want to play another game actually with you guys. Let's play Spot the European. Never walked down a street that smelled as bad as this. Maybe El Raval was pretty close to it, but the stores are called Bazaar Istanbul. Very Spanish. Ooh, another Bazaar Istanbul.
This time furniture.
This time it's furniture. And then you have La Uni, which is an Arabic fruit shop. See the old clock? Yeah, this is beautiful. So guys, the diversity here is through the roof, and by diversity I mean there's no white Europeans and there's no Spanish people. So goal achieved.
In this general area, I believe there's people from 77 nationalities, predominantly of Muslim background.
Predominantly Muslims, so you do have a very high share. As Naomi said, about 100,000 in the province of Girona, which is about the population of the city of Girona.
And that number is from before the whole naturalization program started from President Sanchez.
Yeah.
So now the number might be a lot higher.
Yes, you need to think a huge share of the 500,000+ people that are currently flooding in from the northern coast of Africa. One of the first points of entry for most of them, or a huge amount of them, will be the south, and then they're going to move up through the south. Because keep in mind, Spain doesn't have a very strong social welfare system. So they don't have much or a massive amount of reason to stay here. But they have a huge reason to make their way up as quickly as they can through Spain. Now, a lot of them are going to get stuck because many different reasons, processing times, and that's why you have these enclave communities that have now developed in small cities like this, because a lot of these guys are transiently moving through. This is why we're in the north. We're actually in the north of Spain right now, and this is kind of a path that they're going to be following from the south around Malaga area, Gran Canaria, those islands, and then they're making their way up through here, and then next stop after here, we're at the border of the Pyrenees, is France.
Yeah.
France has a much stronger social welfare system. France, and it would be their absolute dream, I can tell you that, to reach into Germany.
Or the UK.
Or the UK.
You have to bear in mind that Spain is part of the Schengen zone, so if you do get naturalized into here, you obviously get immediate access to the rest of Europe.
Yeah, true.
No questions asked.
Yeah, exactly. This area is horrific. Not even turning the camera around to face me. Number one, because I don't want people to know I'm filming for our own safety. And number two, because I want to kind of just show you as raw and unedited exactly what we're seeing here. There's actually a really interesting mural just up ahead, sprayed on the wall, all about salt. And I guess it kind of will show a depiction of what the demographics of salt are all about. We're also on a plaza here at the moment, and to the left of me, I'm going to turn around in a second. I don't even really need to turn around, but it is not one European there. Check out this mural. I find it fascinating that there's no white European man on that whole mural. We've got some liberal Spanish women, a woman in a hijab, and then a lot of Moroccan and African children playing in the plaza. Very fascinating.
And then it says underneath, harmony is when you adapt to certain parts and form an agreement, more or less.
So
just that we are the ones obviously adapting, not them.
Living in harmony, guys. Integration. Exactly the thing that doesn't happen in these situations. I think we need to go straight this way.
Yeah?
I think it's this way. Hola! This whole street, by the way, is completely trashed. It's heartbreaking to see Spain like this, with the history, 2,000 years of history, and it was ruled for quite some time. It was occupied actually for quite some time, I believe around 70 years now, by Moors and by Muslims. And you can see that in some of the center, there's some Arab bathhouses and stuff like that there too.
And it was only 70 years because we're obviously in the north. If you look at the southern parts, Andalusia and so on, it was a lot longer.
Wow. Welcome to deep inside of the area of Salt, an area notorious for evictions of squatter houses. A lot of violence, gang violence, drug trafficking.
Lots of social housing here as well.
Lots of social housing. There was actually a Senegalese imam, or basically it's a Muslim version of a pastor or a preacher, that was forcibly evicted because he didn't pay rent for about 5 years straight. He was living for free in a house.
So much chaos.
Alrighty, this is 100% occupied territory, guys. This is not Spain at all. It's not Catalonia either. Check out the local stores here, guys. This here would be a perfect example, I think, of a squatter house. Very old.
The window is open.
Window is actually open. Someone must be occupying it too. These old abandoned houses, very old abandoned houses, they get squatted and people just refuse to do things properly because there's a huge unemployment rate in a lot of the smaller cities out here, especially among the foreign population. And like I said, social welfare is not going to help out. My question to you as the viewer, if you're an American, would you feel safe walking around here? If you're a Spanish person, do you feel safe walking around here? Let us know if you live here. I would love to hear from you in the comments. If you're French, Italian, German, Irish, English, let us know. Would you feel safe living here? The workforce of Spain, they do pay taxes. They're not being rewarded with those taxes. In fact, quite the opposite. They're being punished and their areas are being destroyed.
I remember I actually had done some research about the unemployment rate in Salt. It's actually 86% of the foreign population.
There you go.
That is unemployed and stays unemployed.
Yep. So 86% of the roughly 40 to 80%.
Here
Yeah.
it's 80%.
Here it's 80. So
Salt was 70 to 80% foreign population and 86% of them are unemployed.
yeah. So 80% foreign, 86% are unemployed. That is statistics, guys. And statistics are not racist. So if you want to call us racist, go ahead. You're calling the government statistics of Spain racist.
The left media here in Spain is actually trying to portray it as a reason of not being educated and poverty,
Yeah.
so marginalized community type of a thing, but obviously if you are the majority, you're not a marginalized community.
Foreigners are not a minority here. They are the vast majority. The native Spanish people are the vast minority in this whole city, in this whole area, especially here in Salt.
And the Spanish people that you still see here, they are all elderly and female.
Yeah,
They're not even elderly men.
yeah, exactly.
And a lot of time when you see them, no young man at all, of Spanish origin.
That guy looked like he was dead, actually. Very likely about to overdose.
One last stat that I would like to throw your way, just kind of like the little cherry on the cake, if you will, is that 75% of children that are born in the hospitals of Salt are of foreign descent. So the kids of foreigners that don't hold a Spanish passport, which means 3 out of every 4 kids born in this exact area that we are walking through right now are foreigners. all of the things that we talked about in this exact video are causing a lot of social issues as well in the province of Girona, such as just perceived instability, which is causing white flight yet again. So all of the people that fled from Barcelona to the province of Girona are now fleeing again to more rural areas. Of course, we have the issues of trying to integrate all of these people, and then also the strain on the infrastructure, the social infrastructure of the entire city.